Hello, and welcome to Get In We're Going Healing, a place where we talk about mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being to help you learn to let go of the things that are no longer serving you and are holding you back from being your best, your greatest, your most authentic version of you. My name is Tovah, and I will be your guide. So today I want to talk about self-compassion. Now, we've talked about this topic before in the past with Kristen Taylor. If you haven't seen that episode, I will try to remember to link it in the description and check that out. But I would like to talk a little more in depth about things you can do on your own to build and foster self-compassion for yourself. So let's take a minute and talk about what self-compassion actually is. So the way that I have learned it, through teaching my child these things and through the wonderful books that have come out in the last decade about being more emotionally and spiritually connected to yourself, but especially more emotionally connected to yourself. What I've learned is that self-compassion is learning to be a friend to yourself, learning to treat yourself as if you are your best friend. So many of us don't do that. We like to say that we do, but if we're being honest, some of the things we say to ourselves, the ways we treat ourselves, some of the things that we do are not things that we would do to someone that we truly love, to a good friend of ours that we care very much about. They generally aren't behaviors that we would do to those people, yet we do them to ourselves very often. So self-compassion is learning to have an inner voice, an inner dialogue, an inner understanding of yourself, and giving yourself that compassion that you would give to another. Now, before we get into a little more about how to be more self-compassionate, I want to touch on some of the reasons why we would want to build a practice of self-compassion. So what I have found is when I am lacking compassion for myself, when I am not caring for myself and loving myself the way that I would with someone else that I love and care about, I am less able to give that love and connection to those around me. Because I'm feeling the lack in myself, I start looking for that externally. I start looking for others to bring me that love and connection that I feel that I need, which as human beings we do need. I look for others to bring that to me. And invariably, what happens, either just by circumstance or through machinations of the universe, what happens is that those around me are repelled even further from me by my trying to force filling my bucket, so to speak, forcing them to, in a sense, to have to give me that connection, that compassion, that bonding that I'm neglecting to do for myself. And it pushes them away. Instead of getting what I want, it actually does the opposite. So what I found is that when I spend more time giving love and connection to myself and giving myself compassion, because I'm filling my own bucket, so to speak, I'm filling my own tank of compassion and love and bonding. I am more, because I have so much of it, it's so easy for me to extend that compassion to those around me. When those around me make a mistake, when those around me say something hurtful or do something in the moment and react from a space of ego and conditioning, I have more grace and more forgiveness and more compassion for them when I am giving those things to myself, when I am practicing giving those to myself. When I neglect giving those to myself, I have less patience and less tolerance for those around me. I have less tolerance for mistakes. I have less tolerance for other people's emotional reactions. I have less tolerance for other people's lack of emotional regulation. I have less tolerance for other people's lack of boundaries or lack of being able to uphold other people's boundaries. I become more rigid. I become more, how do I want to say it? Punishing, maybe? I think that might be, I'm not sure if that fits in the statement, but it fits for the feel of it. I become more likely to be more severe, more strict, more punishing, less giving, less caring, because my tank is empty. My bucket is empty. My ability to give from a place of love and heart space is low because I have not been filling that up. So I find when I give myself more compassion, I can give that to others. So in saying that, let's take a minute and talk about what that means. So if you're going to give yourself compassion, what does that mean? What does it look like to be a friend to yourself versus when you are a friend to another? Okay, so let's take a minute to refer back to parts. We've talked about parts work in the past. If you have not seen the episodes of part work, I do strongly suggest them. I think everyone should spend time doing parts work and connecting with their parts. So I will do my best to remember to link those in the description box as well. Okay, so compassion, treating yourself like a friend. So your inner critic is one of your parts, and your inner critic, its job is to criticize. That's its whole shtick. It criticizes. And so when you mess up, the inner critic might sound like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. That's so stupid. That's so dumb. You should know better. You shouldn't have done that. You already knew what was going to happen and you did it anyway. Oh, that was so dumb. You should do something and fix it. You have to fix it. I can't believe you did that. That was so dumb. You should have known better. That's your inner critic. Now, when we use that in the context of being self-compassionate, let's use the example of being your own friend. So if your best friend, someone that you cared very much about their well-being, if your friend messed up, did something dumb, did the thing that you did, the thing that whatever you're telling yourself was so dumb and it was such a stupid mistake and you should have known better. If your friend did that, would that be the things that you say to your friend? Would you look at your friend and say, oh, you should have known better. You're so dumb. How could you have made that mistake? I hope that's not what you say to your friend. Generally speaking, what we would usually say to someone we care about is, oh, you know what? It's okay. You messed up. It's okay. Okay, so maybe you should have known better, but maybe you just didn't remember that this time. That's okay. We all make mistakes. We'll fix it. And it'll be okay. So now, how do we get to knowing that we would say that to our friend, to being able to say that to ourselves? Here's the catch. Many of us who struggle with being compassionate to ourselves have an underlying concern, fear, worry, wound that we are undeserving of compassion. And that might be because of, more than likely, there's a conditioning there. There's a past version of yourself, a younger version of yourself, who was not given that compassion and who has internalized the belief that they do not deserve that compassion. So your inner critic's job is to protect that part of you that feels that they don't deserve love and compassion. Because when that part did expect compassion from a caregiver and it was not given that compassion, that part ended up being hurt. And I mean, that's evident anytime. If you just think about it, just think about if you were looking for love and connection from a partner, a significant other, a friend, whoever, and instead of giving you that love and connection that you were hoping for, their response was harsh or dismissive or minimizing. The feeling that comes along with that feeling of, I just wanted to be heard. I just wanted to be seen. I just wanted to be cared for. That feeling, that is what that young version of you felt. And that part is still there and doesn't want to feel that. So the inner critic's job is to say, yeah, you deserved that, that you messed up, you messed that up, you should have known better, because it's conditioning, but it's also easier. Because when we do the work, when we're doing the work to heal through this stuff, we have no choice but to have to look at it. That's how that works. You have to look at it. You have to see it. You have to see what it is that you haven't seen. You have to notice it. And you have to start fixing it. And that's part of what this self-compassion is on this journey. We are learning to treat ourselves with compassion. So now let's take an example here of another time where you messed up. You messed it all up. Okay. So if we're being self-compassionate, we're saying to ourselves, you know what? Okay. All right. You messed up. Good. I mean, there's no mistaking. This isn't a little mess up. This is a pretty big mess up, and this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a lot of work to fix, but we can fix it. We can get through it. We can do it. We'll be okay. It'll all work out. We'll be okay. When we can begin to speak to ourselves in that way, then we can begin to have more freedom to make mistakes, to be less worried about the ramifications of making a mistake, because we know that when we make a mistake, we'll be able to fix it. We'll be able to rectify it. We'll have the means to fix it, or we'll be able to find someone who can help us fix it. So how can we do this? If you're at the stage of talking badly to yourself, or speaking badly, or not supporting yourself, and you want to have more self-compassion, how do you get there? One of the first ways that I found to get there is through a meditative practice of self-compassion. Now, there are many guided ones. Dr. Kristen Neff has some wonderful ones on her website. I also strongly recommend, if you're unsure if you have issues with self-compassion, she does have a test that you can fill out, and it gives you an idea of how compassionate you are to yourself after answering a bunch of questions, to kind of give you an idea, are you pretty good at being self-compassionate, or is that an area that you need some more skill in? So maybe check her out. I really enjoy her stuff. But here's a one that you can start doing right away. So I would recommend, in a meditation, you could even do this in mirror work, doing your own mirror work. We made mirrors in a previous episode, a self-love episode. If you haven't seen that one and you might be interested in learning how to do that, check that out. I'll try to link that below as well. And check that out and learn how to make your own mirror, or just grab any mirror you have or stand in front of your bathroom mirror. So what you're going to do is look at yourself, or in meditation, you're going to speak this to yourself. May you love yourself as you are. May you accept yourself as you are. May you live at ease with who you are. Again, may you love yourself as you are. May you accept yourself as you are. May you live at ease with who you are. So this is something that when I started doing it, I cried through it, because I did not love myself as I was. I loved myself for who I thought I should be. I loved myself at various times for being various versions of me, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I did not love myself for who my authentic version of me was. I didn't even know who that was. It took me some time to take off the masks and take off the conditioning and take off the armor to even find myself underneath all of those layers of things. And now, when I think about myself, when I mess up, I am more forgiving to myself. I am more compassionate and say, oh, yeah, I messed that one up. I could have done that better. I totally messed that up. But that's okay. It's okay. It will all work out. And then relaxing into it and easing into it and knowing that everything will work out. I don't have to treat myself badly for it. And then that allows me to, again, as I said in the beginning, that flexibility to give that to others. So when I see someone else around me who has messed up or has angered me because of something that they did, and my ego is telling me stories and getting me all worked up, I might imagine them in my mind's eye and say, may you love yourself as you are. May you accept yourself as you are. May you live at ease with who you are. And extend that compassion to them. I've used this as a practice to help heal through issues with my parents. I've used it to heal through issues with my partner. I've used it to heal through issues with my siblings and friends and various people that I'm struggling with. When I'm having difficulty with them, I start with myself and give myself that compassion. May I love myself as I am. May I accept myself as I am. May I live at ease with who I am. And then I imagine them. And then I picture saying to them and having them take that in as, may you love yourself as you are. May you accept yourself as you are. May you live at ease with who you are. That, I think, is a great way for us to begin to cultivate self-compassion. Treating ourselves like a friend, remembering that when we make mistakes, and we will because we're human and everybody makes mistakes, that's just part of being a human being. When we make mistakes, that we have compassion for ourselves. We have grace for ourselves. We can say, I messed up. And then apologize if necessary, if need be, given whatever circumstance. If you need to apologize, take ownership and say, hey, I messed up. I'm sorry. Even giving that to ourselves and say, hey, I messed up. I'm sorry. And of course, the response back from ourselves would be, that's okay. Everybody messes up. It's all right. It will all be okay. One way or another, it will all be okay. I forgive you. Now that leads us into a whole nother topic of self-forgiveness, and we will talk about that a little more in depth in another episode. I don't want to take this one too long, but yeah, self-compassion. Treating ourselves as if we are a friend that we care about, treating ourselves as if we are someone that we love and care about, treating ourselves with that compassion that we would so happily give to another person that we care about, but so have such difficulty giving to ourselves. I strongly recommend doing that mirror work, saying that to yourself. Begin cultivating a new conversation with yourself when you look in the mirror. Start to move out of the framework of, look at those wrinkles, look at my skin, look at those blemishes, as we look at our bodies and dismantle it and find all the things that are flawed in our opinion, all the things we don't care for. Let's begin to change that language. Let's begin to look at ourselves more positively, more compassionately, more lovingly, and being able to say, it's okay. It's okay. It'll all be okay. I love you. I care about you. And I want the best for you. And if you mess up, that's okay. We can pick it up. We can make adjustments. We can move forward. We can keep going. It'll be okay. So I hope that this helped you. I hope that this will help you continue to let go of some of those negative things that you might be saying to yourself, to begin to move into a healthier conversation with yourself and a healthier view of who you are in this world. And I hope it will continue to help you drop those things that are no longer serving you, those views of yourself that someone else handed you that aren't yours, to begin to change the lens that you have of how you see yourself, and begin to see yourself with more love, more compassion, more connection, more forgiveness, and more acceptance. So until next time, fellow humans, keep letting go of those things that are no longer serving you, and keep working towards being your best, your greatest, your most authentic self. Love and light, fellow humans.